So I'm driving along and it's a cold, dark, wet night. And all of a sudden, the traffic parted like Moses had parted the sea. And I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to go for this top speed run. Hi, welcome to Car Talk, and in today's story, this is how I maxed out a Golf R32 at 170 mile an hour, completely legal. So what we was doing is we was buying cars in the UK, me and a friend, and we had another friend in Germany who owned a breaker's yard, should we say, and he would buy cars and we would drive them over and then he would break them. So the type of cars he was after was Golf R32s, BMW M3s, E46s, E39 M3s, old M5s, newer M5s, M6s, CLS AMGs, you know, the list goes on, but it was always performance German cars, should we say. So what we'd do is we'd find a car in the UK, we'd buy it, we'd park it up for a week or two so we could set out our trip to Germany, to Berlin. We had two routes we used to go. The first route was be from our location in central England, which is in Derbyshire. We drive from there to Folkestone, and then from Folkestone we get on the Channel Tunnel underneath the English Channel, and then we drive through northern France, through the Netherlands, through Belgium, or vice versa, and then across Germany. Now in Germany on autobahns there is speed limits, but a majority of it is uncontrolled, so you can literally drive realistically as fast as you want. And Germans really know how to drive, unlike the Belgians. For some reason the Belgians like to get really close to you, which was my downfall when I got caught speeding. As I was driving through Belgium, we just got a bit carried away, like you do, you know, after a few trips, you kind of, it's like Cannonball Run Europe, you know, you're delivering these performance cars, and it was brilliant, so you do get carried away. So my friend up front, he was in a RS6 and I'm in a R32 Golf. And behind me was a BMW X1. I'm looking in the mirror and he's literally this far off my bumper. And I'm like, well, I'm travelling at 100 miles per hour, let's say. The speed limit in Belgium was 120 kilometres an hour, which is about 75, 80 miles per hour. And I'm on walkie-talkie to my friend and I'm like, there's a guy behind me and I think he wants to race. So like any young man would do, we decided to race. So my friend goes off in his RS6, I'm in the R32 Golf. We get to roughly around about 145, 150 miles per hour. And this BMW is keeping up. And next minute, where the rear view mirror was, the flashing lights basically, it was a police car.
Surprise, motherfucker.
And we got pulled over. And we had a discussion about our speed, and the police were very nice, to be fair. We told them what we were doing. They breathalyzed us, which we'd passed, obviously because we weren't drinking. We got a free keyring, but it wasn't free. And we just got some words of advice about don't speed through Belgium. Now, the keyring we got was a Bob keyring, and if you pass a breathalyzer test in Belgium, you get a keyring for doing it, which is quite funny. But because we were speeding, we did both get fined €220 each. Now I tried to get out of this fine by telling the police officer that it wasn't my car. I'm poor, I can't afford this car. And then he says, well, why are you driving it then? And he just weren't taking none of it. I tried the old excuse of, I live in a caravan, I can't even live in a house. And yep, lo and behold, he just didn't buy. He was just, nope, there's your fine. And I said, well, I ain't got no cash. He says, it's okay, we have a credit card machine. So I'm at the side of the road paying my fine, €220. I'm like, damn. My friend goes, I ain't got no cash. Can we use your bank card? Yeah, that's fine. Another €220 fine. So anyway, it carries on. And we go up to a petrol station. And my card wouldn't work. Basically, the bank had thought, this is a bit suspicious, and blocked my card. So we had to use my friend's card, and that was the speeding in Belgium. Now, getting back to the main story of how I managed to do 170 mile an hour, There's been many times I've took Volkswagen R32 Golfs across to Germany, so you kind of get a gist of that car. Some cars are faster than others, some cars are slower, some cars just don't feel right. And on this one night, it were a wintry cold night. I dare say it were about 2 or 3 degrees, and we were going through Magdeburg. Now, Magdeburg has got about a 5-mile stretch of autobahn, which is pretty straight. Now, as we were going through, there were quite a lot of traffic. It was roughly around about 6 o'clock in the afternoon, or evening, sorry. And all of a sudden, the traffic parted. It was just like, where did the traffic go? It was like Moses spreading the water. And I thought, something's telling me to do this. Now, previously I'd done like 160 mile an hour in a Golf R32, which nothing new there, but this one, it felt a bit quicker. Whether it had a remap or you know, generally some cars are faster than other ones, even though they are the same car. So I went along, and the car's parked, and all I can see is black highway. You know, no street lights, black highway. And I'm thinking to myself, now is my time to try and see what a Golf R32 can do. Now, if you remember from my previous videos, previous reviews and stuff like that, I always used to say, let's see what this piece of shit could do. And I got some grief actually on the R32 top speed run, which I did. Like, how dare you call this a piece of shite? People, it's a car, you know what I mean? If you're going to get that emotional about cars, I think you need some help. Anyway, I'm going along, and I'm in fourth, and I'm, you know, getting the RPMs really high, 6,000 RPM, changing to fifth. Again, keep going, trying to keep it steady, but you really want to get there. Adrenaline's pumping, my palms are getting sweaty, and if anyone's ever driven an R32 Golf, nice chunky steering wheel, you've got these nice, not Recaro, but like buckety seats, Coney seats I believe they are, and they're very, very comfy, and they're very supportive, and I'm there. And now, I always remember when I was doing my driving lessons years ago, the instructor says, never drive like that, because if anything happens, you've not really got movement. If you're like that, you've got that bit of movement. So, sat perfect. But the problem I had is, back then, I didn't really have much filming equipment. So I had to hold my phone whilst holding the steering wheel, whilst having this hand on the steering wheel. So I'm there, I'm doing about 150, and it gets a bit sketchy. As you can imagine, a Golf really wasn't designed to do that speed, even if it's an R32. They're not very stable cars. They're only short wheelbases. They aren't really perfect for a top speed. So I'm holding on, and I get to about 160, and that's when it starts to struggle to really go past 160, as you can see in the video up here. And it's shaky, and it's horrible, and it's like literally being on a roller skate with SpaceX's new rocket attached to the back, and it is scary, and things are passing you so fast. Anyway, I didn't actually look down at the clocks for a while. I just planted my foot and just hoped for the best, because 160 mile an hour, let's say, and you crash that Golf at 160 mile an hour, you're going to probably die. It's not going to end well. So anyway, I'm carrying on, and I managed to look down at the clocks, and first thing I noticed was the RPM was way in the red. And I've been at it for a good 60 seconds, and it must have been, you know, way in that red. And I looked down at the clock, and I'm vaguely, oh, it's at 170, right, slow down. And I slowed down, and the amount of adrenaline I had was unreal. And I look back to this day and I think, that was one of the stupidest things you ever did. Because if you'd have crashed at that speed, you would not have got a prayer of a chance of survival, or very little. Anyway, so I'm carrying on after that, and I'm overwhelmed with joy that I just maxed a Golf R32 out. And I'm going along, and you shouldn't really do this, but I'm driving along, and I'm looking at the video, and I'm like, wow, I'm sat doing 60 now. And next minute, beep, check coolant level. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Anyway, pulled over at services, and yeah, I popped radiator at 170 mile an hour. And one thing I noticed in Germany, you can't buy Radweld or, you know, stop leak or anything like that. It's really weird. Germans like to do things properly. They don't like to bodge things. So anyway, I had to carry on topping the car up every 20 miles or so, and I managed to get it back to Berlin. And to be fair, the car, there were no issues with it, but that was my story on how I maxed an R32 Golf at 170 miles per hour. Now, if you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. I'm trying to get more subscribers. If you thought this video was good, comment, like, subscribe, share. It's it's been an experience. So next story, we're going to talk about when I finally achieved my top speed of 171 in an Audi RS6. So thanks for watching, and please subscribe.